Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
After the war, Mary Edwards Walker wasn't done pushing for recognition. She'd given everything. Her time, her health, even her freedom. And she wanted her service formally acknowledged. So she went after something that hadn't been done before. A retroactive military commission or brevet to validate what she'd done for the Army.
she deserves it.
Oh, President Andrew Johnson actually got involved and told Secretary of War Edwin Stanton to look into whether it was even legally possible. Stanton asked the Army's Judge Advocate General, who came back with a tricky answer. There was no precedent for commissioning a woman, but he said maybe they could issue something else, something kind of an honorary recognition instead.
What assholes. Well, that's when President Johnson, he made a personal decision. Instead of a commission, he ordered Mary the Medal of Honor.
Yeah, but if he would have commissioned her, she would have got a pension.
Right. The highest military decoration in the United States. But here's the twist. She wasn't officially recommended for it through the usual military channels. And because she didn't technically hold a commission, she shouldn't have been eligible in the first place. But in the unusual case, it just happened. And for a while, that was that.
For a while. Then fast forward to 1916, 50 years later, Congress, they passed a new law creating a pension for Medal of Honor recipients. But as part of that, they established separate Medal of Honor rolls for the Army and Navy. Around the same time, the Army decided it wanted to go back and clean things up, to retroactively review all previous recipients and weed out what they called undesirable awards.
Right, because a lot back then, they were just giving to everybody.
Right. Problem was, when the Medal of Honor was first created, there weren't any real regulations. You could get one for just about anything. In fact, nearly 900 soldiers received the medal just for re-enlisting.
Right.
That's not a Medal of Honor.
Yeah,
guys.
Come on, boys. So the Army put together a new Medal of Honor board. From 1916 to 1917, this board reviewed every frickin' name that ended up removing 911 people from the Army Medal of Honor roll. That list included, you guessed it, Mary Edwards Walker.
Yep.
And even Buffalo Bill, William Cody. Mary's case, the reasoning was the laws on the books in 1862, 1863, and 1904 all clearly said recipients had to be commissioned officers or enlisted soldiers. Mary had served as a contract surgeon, which was a civilian, so technically, no Medal of Honor for you.
There, where it gets a little shady, the board didn't remove everyone who was technically ineligible. At least 2 other contract surgeons were allowed to keep their medals.
Oh, my.
One of them was Leonard Wood, who later became Army Chief of Staff. When he got the Medal of Honor, he'd been a civilian contractor too, just like Mary.
Oh, wow.
The board knew that. In fact, the head of the board, General Nelson Miles, had recommended Wood for the medal twice, and still took Mary's away.
Oh, wow. Wow. Despite removing her from the Medal of Honor roll, the Army didn't actually ask for the medal back, though. That's because their own Judge Advocate General pointed out they didn't have the legal power to enforce it. Congress hadn't granted them jurisdiction to demand its return or to penalize people for keeping their medals. So technically, Mary never had to give it up, though her name was officially struck from the roll. Whatever, I still got this motherfucking... Still got it. Did it have their names on them? Probably not.
Maybe. Well, here's things get a little messy and honestly a bit misunderstood. Because a lot of people say President Jimmy Carter restored Mary's Medal of Honor in 1977. But that's probably not true. That decision actually came from way lower in the chain, which was from the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. They were acting on a recommendation from the Board for the Correction of Military Records. Okay, but he had the power.
Right. Wow. The weird part? Well, neither the Ford nor Carter administration supported this move. When Carter's White House found out the board had reinstated the medal, their reaction was basically, wait, what?
What?
They were confused, for good reason. Because there's the thing, the Board of Correction is only supposed to fix errors or injustices. It's not supposed to override federal law, boys. Mary's removal had been based on that law. So the restoration, well-meaning, probably exceeded the board's legal authority.
All right, what are you doing?
All right.
Well, you can see how complicated this gets when you look at the case of Garland Connor, who was another Medal of Honor recipient who was recognized after Mary. His award in 2018 also came through the Board for Correction, but that one followed all the legal steps. It went through the president and required a special waiver from Congress. And that's what should have happened in Mary's case too, but it didn't.
Didn't. Still, through all the red tape and legal arguments, one thing never changed. Mary believed she earned that medal. In her own words, she said she received it because she had the courage to go into enemy territory and treat the suffering, something no man had dared to do for fear of capture. And as we know, she was captured and imprisoned for 4 months for doing exactly that.
Our official Medal of Honor citation laid it out in detail. It lists her service at Bull Run, the Patent Office Hospital, Chattanooga after Chickamauga, and even includes her time as a prisoner of war in Richmond. It praises her patriotic zeal and the toll her service took on her health. And since she couldn't be given a commission or honorary military rank under the law, the Medal of Honor was awarded as an alternative, which was to recognize the incredible work she had done. And that's how Mary Edwards Walker, a contract surgeon, Civil War veteran, POW, and dress performer, became the only woman in U.S. history to receive the Medal of Honor. And she was also inducted to the National Women's Hall of Fame in 2000. Took you long enough from Women's Hall of Fame. Who'd you put in before her?
Holy shit.